Hi guys, welcome back to my online learning class. Last week I asked you to come up with a silhouette of anything that you wanted and then to divide it and fill it with the different Zentangle designs that you had come up with. You can repeat designs if needed. You can add new ones. You can make up your own. So originally I did this demonstration for you of the elephant. I kind of thought about it and I don't know why, I'm a little bit of a perfectionist, but I had the idea that I wanted to do a hand instead. So I ended up doing a second one, and this is the stage that you should be at this point in the project. You should have a nice defined silhouette. You should have divides of different Zentangle designs. And again, like I said, you can repeat them. You can do it however you want. Now comes the final stage of the project. And this is going to be adding the black either ink, or you can use a colored pencil, either or, and or color. So first step is I'm gonna ask you guys to please use rulers. Even when you're retracing, even when you are retracing your Zentangles, because if you don't use a ruler and you do freehand for any kind of straight lines, sometimes what happens is it gets a little messy. Okay, so now you're gonna start to, for straight edges, just retrace over. You can use a thick or a thin Sharpie. And like I said, if you don't have a Sharpie, you can use a pen. You can use a black pencil, worst case scenario. So don't feel like it's something that you can't do. So this I was gonna do like a black and white checkerboard. So what you wanna do is carefully go in, and I always outline the areas that I'm going to sketch first. And I want you to go in, really fill in the spaces, make sure it's super duper neat. I always outline. And so I'm gonna make that a, sort of like a checkerboard. Make sure the edges are clean. I'm gonna really take my time to retrace all my lines, super duper neat. Okay, we will go back in and erase areas with pencil. For areas that you blocked in, I'm gonna ask you to really kind of fill them in nicely. And you want to think about the negative spaces of a design. So for example, this design here was part white, part black. So you really want to make sure that you think about, are you going to outline? So I went over that area. It's not quite lined up with where it should be. It's fine, we can erase that later. And you're gonna decide which negative spaces do you think that you may want to darken? Because I want you to either outline the lines or outline some of the negative spaces and fill those in, because those really kind of lend themselves to making the designs a little bit more interesting. So part of this design is going to be line work, and then part of it is also going to be filled in. So you kind of want to think about that. Make sure the edges really line up the way that they should. Take your time. You'll actually find this is really, really relaxing when you do this. It's pretty cathartic. So you really want to take your time, decide which areas are black, decide which areas are white. I am offering color as an option. So let's say, for example, I wanted to just pinpoint this. So let's say I have all these different lines that form this finger. I do have some negative space in here. I'm going to decide to color that negative space in. The spaces in between the little flowers. Okay, to kind of fill in more of the space of the finger. color and shading will be the very last step. So you'll go in and you'll ink all of this and you'll make sure it's super neat. If you make a mistake, try to just work with it. You can always use whiteout, can be helpful. And then what I want you to do is add a little bit of shading. So you can do this with a black pencil and decide. Think of it as like a gradient. You're gonna hold your pencil to its side and super lightly, super light, because this really lends itself to making it look 3D. So just this little tiny bit of shading in areas that come together makes it look so much more dense. And you can decide to use these little areas of gradient and value anywhere you want. I mean, usually where areas that go inward, I tend to darken, and then areas that would be otherwise raised are areas that are lighter. So you can kind of go in for all of these. Some, you know, decide, make that decision on where you want to. Here, I think I'm going to decide towards the bottom of this, I'm going to sort of darken, and then it would gradually get lighter. So you're going to ink, then you're going to take a pencil. If you don't have just a regular black colored pencil, you could use a just, you know, a regular shading pencil is fine as well. And then color is going to be optional. So what color do I want? I really like purples. You can, if you want, go in and add gradients of color. If that's something that you choose, you don't have to. I just like to kind of throw that in there for fun. All I'm going to ask is if you do use color, try to limit your color palette to, let's say, 3 or 4 colors, no more. And make sure that they're spread out evenly amongst the page so that you don't have, for example, all purple on one side and then all black and white on the other. Make sure that it's distributed evenly in terms of that color. So for this week, your task is going to be to finish this. So you're going to ink. So you'll outline and color in or darken areas. And again, you can use a thicker or thin Sharpie. I mean, thinner Sharpies probably work a little bit easier in terms of getting those small spaces, or you can use a colored pencil. Step 2, add those gradients. And you really are going to work very, very lightly. You don't need to apply a lot of pressure. As you can see, just a little bit goes a long way. So apply those gradients to any areas throughout. And then color is optional. Like I said, if you decide that you want to color in areas, so for example, I wanted this sheet to be dark purple, I can do that. Really, anything goes. I want you to have fun with this. I want this to be creative. I want you to enjoy it. And I can't wait to see all your beautiful stuff. So good luck, guys. And if you have any questions, feel free to email me. Also, make sure you don't forget that border. At the very end, sign your name somewhere, as I did.